So to set the stage for where I'm going to go today with this, and I'm going to try and leave probably 7 to 10 minutes at the end for questions. This is a topic that does tend to drive a lot of questions. I'm going to try and answer a lot of them throughout the talk, but this is actually the first time I'm going to share a lot of what we're learning in this journey we've started down. So for me, I actually started in 2011 after IBM Watson won on Jeopardy. I developed this obsession with this idea that there would come a day where we would use technology like that to aid in the development of marketing strategy. So if I had $100,000 to spend, it appeared to me, not really understanding how IBM Watson worked, that I could use that kind of technology to help me figure out the best way to spend it based on probabilities of success. Because the way Watson answered questions was it didn't actually know the answer. It had a confidence level based on the probability of the answer being correct. And if the confidence level was high enough, it would answer the question. And that's how it won on Jeopardy. So in 2012, I started down this path of trying to comprehend what exactly it was. Then in 2015, I attended a conference where the managing editor of the Associated Press and the CEO of a company called Automated Insights were on stage doing a panel. And there they told the story of how the Associated Press had automated earnings reports using Automated Insights tools. And they went from writing 300 earnings reports a quarter to 3,000, 100% by machine. And I sat there as a content marketer at heart and thought, this could change everything. Like, can you actually write content with machines? And so specifically, we as an agency do a ton of content for clients, and I thought, can we use that to write blog posts? Like, is this going to change what we do as an agency and as an industry? And so we started exploring this possibility of could we use artificial intelligence, which I'll explain in a moment what that actually means, to change the way we delivered services. So at a high level, the best explanation I have seen of artificial intelligence is this: the science of making machines smarter. This is Demis Hassabis. His company was bought by Google in 2014 for about $500 million. He now runs Google DeepMind, and they're doing some of the most innovative things in the artificial intelligence space today. So he basically said it's just the nature of teaching a machine how to be smarter, and so it can become almost superhuman at certain tasks. I would add to that, which in turn augments humans' knowledge and capabilities. And this is a theme we're going to come back to throughout this discussion. I'm not going to bog you down with a bunch of definitions of what artificial intelligence is and all the different branches of it, but in a very simplistic way, this is the best visual I've seen to understand it at a high level. Artificial intelligence is the umbrella term. It is a collection of processes, technologies, tools that enable machines to become smarter. Machine learning is the term you'll often hear most associated with AI. Most of the most interesting things being done today are being done with forms of machine learning. And that I'll explain more in a minute. And then deep learning is another one you'll hear a lot. You will also hear things like natural language processing, natural language generation, image recognition, computer vision. Just know they are all types of artificial intelligence, and also know as a marketer you will probably never have to actually understand how these things work, and you won't really need to comprehend the full breadth of what's possible with AI. You're going to live in a world of specific use cases, and that's what I'm going to kind of walk you through today, is understanding the tasks you do as a content marketer and which of them can actually be enhanced with artificial intelligence. So a common way I like to explain this is, in its most basic form, every piece of software you have ever used was based on a set of algorithms, a set of rules that a human wrote. So that's all an algorithm is a set of rules. So if you think about an ebook and a landing page it's on and the form it's on, a human wrote the software code that enabled you to build a landing page, enabled you to create a form, enabled you to connect that form to a CRM system and an automation tool that then nurtures people once they download. And then you, as the marketer, the end user, you also write rules. You basically are writing algorithms that says, if someone downloads this ebook, send them these 3 emails. And you figured out what to put in those emails. You figured out the different paths to send them down. You're doing all the work. In this instance, there is no artificial intelligence involved. It is purely programming. It is just code written by humans. In AI, the difference becomes the machine can actually start evolving the code on its own. It can start adapting what happens and the path people go down based on information it's gathering in real time. And it can process that information in ways humans could never consider. So take that example of an ebook and go a little further. If you just had one ebook downloaded, it's not that hard to say, okay, send them these 3 emails, and if they click on this, then pass it off to sales, and I'm done with my job as a content marketer. But what if there's 10,000 downloads, and those people all came from different channels, and they have different histories on your site, and maybe some are customers, maybe some aren't? This is where artificial intelligence becomes critical. A human, not only can you not envision how to structure this, you can't visualize it once you've set all these paths up. Because in a perfect world, what's going to happen is a level of one-to-one marketing. You're going to feel as though marketers are talking to you in every instance. And I'm going to show you some examples of this. So what you're going to find as we go through this is AI is everywhere. You're using it every single day, and you don't actually probably realize it's happening. So if you're in Facebook and you upload a photo and it says, would you like to tag, in this case, Keith Mooring? It's using something called facial recognition to know that that's Keith Mooring. A machine inherently has no idea who a person is, what an object is. Artificial intelligence is trained over time, but you've been using this for 7 years and didn't even know it was AI. If you conduct a search and you start content marketing and it recommends 4 or 5 other searches, it's using a form of artificial intelligence to try and predict what it is you're looking for and to surface those recommendations for you. If you click on the little microphone and you voice search, that is AI. A machine doesn't know the human language. It doesn't recognize voice. It's been trained to do that. So every time you use voice, whether it's in here or with Siri or Alexa, you're using artificial intelligence. Once you go into the search results, Google has stated that the 3rd most important factor in determining what shows up here and whether your content surfaces or not is actually something called rank brain, which is their artificial intelligence algorithm that is getting smarter on its own and then surfacing what you're going to see. This is one of the most fascinating ones. Show of hands if anyone's used this. If you're in Gmail and you get an email, at the bottom it recommends replies. It's artificial intelligence, and what's actually happening is there's a guy named Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is one of the forefathers of the movement in AI, and written a book called The Singularity is Near, which is actually when machines will take over the world. We're not going to go into that today, but just trust me that Ray Kurzweil is one of the foremost experts in this space. He leads a team of 35 people at Google that is building this technology, and I promise you it is not stopping at 3-word replies. But right now what you see is you get this email, do you want to go to the party tonight? I click on sure, what time? I didn't have to type anything, and I hit send. They're, in the near future, going to release a next component of this where they'll let you hit a continue button. The continue button will actually continue writing the email for you. What it's doing, there are multiple layers of AI happening here. It's using something called natural language processing to understand the words in the email. It's then using machine learning and all kinds of other things to figure out what the right reply would be, and then it's using natural language generation to offer you the reply. Think about all the areas Google touches and their desire to truly understand human language. They use it in translation as a massive piece of what Google does. Google Docs, if anyone writes in Google Docs, they are likely working on, and again, keep in mind, Ray Kurzweil could be working on anything in AI right now, and for some reason, he's leading a team of 35 people at Google that's working on emails, but more likely than not, working on creation of the human language. That they are and will eventually commercialize the writing of human language based on its belief of what you're going to write next. This is not today. So you as content marketers aren't out of jobs because Google is working on this. But this is the sort of stuff that in 10, 15 years, no one really knows is going to have a massive impact on the creation of content. If you watch Netflix, they're a huge player in the AI space. They have extremely intelligent algorithms that predict what you will want to watch next based on what you've previously watched or people like you have watched. So it surfaces recommendations. What you read often is determined by this. The news feed on Facebook is a great example, but one of the most innovative companies I've seen in this space is actually the Washington Post. which, keep in mind, Jeff Bezos of Amazon purchased. And years ago when he did that, I had no clue why Jeff Bezos would want to buy the Washington Post, and now I'm actually starting to understand it. There's a guy there in charge of data science named Dr. Sam Han, and he built a tool called Heliograph, which actually writes stories for the Washington Post. They debuted it at the Summer Olympics last year, and it wrote stories of all the events, and then they used it in full force for the elections in November of last year, and it would write stories about different races around the country. So they're doing really fascinating things, and ironically, I just went here to pull an example, and it just so happens that there was an article here about Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg having a disagreement about AI. So to show you that, like, how early everyone is in this space, Mark Zuckerberg has been working on AI for 10 years. He and Elon Musk don't actually agree on how far along we are and how dangerous it could become, and there was this great spat, like, probably 4 weeks ago, where Mark Zuckerberg's like, I think Elon Musk is overstating, like, how bad this could get. And Elon's reply was, I've spoken with Mark about AI. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. And so it's like, these are the two of probably the 10 people in the world that I look to and assume they know what they're talking about, and they don't even agree on it. But in this example, the Washington Post is surfacing content to read. You're seeing like a targeted ad, a contextual ad over here. That's being affected by AI. The decision to show that ad is actually being informed by what they think I might be interested in. And then, like, the most read stuff. All these things are actually, again, it's in plain sight. Like, you're being affected by it every day. And then one of the biggest examples is Amazon. So again, go back to Jeff Bezos. In this case, I don't know if you can read that, but they're seeing my Prime account, videos. So based on what you previously watched, you want to watch this. Based on my kids playing music, you'll probably want to listen to that. Based on your last searches of Alexa, you're probably interested in this. And then it just keeps going. Related items based on what you've viewed. Based on things you've previously looked at or considered, you might want to look at this. And it's pretty accurate. There's 6 books on artificial intelligence on the bottom that I haven't read yet. Then it gets into your shipping trends. So it knows what I bought and when, and it might recommend to me what to buy next. Now, again, this is interesting from an e-commerce standpoint, but the point here is consider this as content marketers, and if you can do the same thing with your content, if you can know visitors at an individualized level and be able to surface content recommendations to them based on all these different factors. So the point is, your life is already machine-assisted, and your marketing is going to be too. And what we're going to do is walk through a framework that explains to you how you can actually take advantage of that right now and where it may go in the future. So for me, even though we've been working on this for probably 5 or 6 years, I didn't actually know the story of what was happening with AI. So last year, about summertime, I tried to write the outline for a book. And I could tell the story of AI starting in the 1950s with the US government and how they tried to use it in warfare, and then the different times that AI sort of fell out of favor, and I could probably forecast where I think it's going to end up, but I actually didn't know the middle part of the story. As a marketer, okay, this is really fascinating. What do I do now? So we launched a site dedicated to trying to figure that story out. As part of our content strategy, we've written about 90 posts now since November, where we're just deep diving into AI and trying to figure it out. We've done a couple dozen spotlights, meaning asking different AI-powered companies questions and having them tell us, how are you using it? What are the limitations of it? Where's it going to go? This is just to give you a sense of how much money is being poured into this space. You'll recognize some of these logos as exhibitors in the exhibit hall. So just those 24 companies, north of 218 million, and like 5 of them don't have public-facing funding numbers. So it's actually probably closer to 300, 400 million. This is just the surface. We're tracking 511 AI-powered companies. 259 of those have known public funding. Those companies combined have over 2.9 billion in funding. And the velocity, there's right now we're tracking about 450 million in VC funding into these companies this year alone. So I show you this again to tell you this isn't just me up here like trying to guess at where this is going. It's happening now. Now, the interesting thing that I didn't know, like when I gave this, like the cognitive content marketing talk last year, I thought I understood it, but I actually realized I didn't. So what's happening is something that I've heard analysts call AI washing. meaning everyone's just calling what they do artificial intelligence. Like you're starting to see that term slapped on a lot of different companies, a lot of different branding. What you end up discovering is their software that's called artificial intelligence isn't actually that intelligent. That we're not as far along as I thought we were in the development of these technologies, which is actually a really good thing for the people in this room. Because just sitting here and knowing this, you actually have a significant head start on a lot of people that are just overwhelmed by the whole idea of it. So one of the things I want you to take away is it's not too late to start figuring this out. It's actually just beginning.